this is the title thing. Diplomas for sale, $465. Again, I fucking hate how they do their headlines to line up with the ads instead of the article.
Because you can't really read it very easy.
Yeah, so diplomas for sale, $465, no classes required, inside one of Louisiana's unapproved schools. This is a long article. We're not going to do the whole thing. So this is
Jesus.
about...
$465. This isn't where Kent Hovind got his.
No. His was Patriot Bible thing. I looked into that. They charged like $3,000.
Oh, okay.
And so I considered getting myself a PhD from them.
Because what would you have to do to get it? Just spend the money. That's about it.
Yeah. So this is kind of like a piece that follows one person as a story. This Arlia Martin person who accepted her high school diploma with relief and gratitude. It was her ticket to better paying work she felt after getting kicked out of high school and toiling for 8 years at factory jobs to support her children. So this is primarily a homeschool thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this kind of like, it's not just a homeschool thing. They're also preying on the vulnerable. This is somebody who feels like she's at a dead end in life and is trapped.
They think this is their way to get out.
And this, yes. So the way that they see this as the only way that they can get out of that life. But then it turns out that these diplomas aren't really worth anything. Oh, we did get a donation. We're at $56.73. So thank you, whoever did that. Sorry, I don't have it open to check.
So that would also be a reason why they're so like low costed compared to anything else that's available, the thousands of dollars for other diploma mills, because they're specifically trying to get what is the high end of what we can get off of a low and desperate market.
Well, there's a bit more to it than that.
Okay.
But yeah. Anyway, so Martin didn't just she didn't take any classes or pass any tests to get her degree. She just forked over $465 and they gave it to her with the ceremony. That's it.
That's how you earned it. You just spent the money and then it was there.
Well,
okay.
she has justification for this later on in the article, but
okay.
So Louisiana is a weird state. They actually do kind of regulate homeschooling, which surprised me because like that's something you would expect to see in the blue states, not the red states.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so just full disclosure, I homeschooled my kids for several years. There is a right and a wrong way to do it. Most people that homeschool their kids do it the wrong way, but there is a right way to do it. Now, the reason we stopped homeschooling our kids was because we could no longer do it the right way. So when it got to that point, it was like, no, we need to send them to school now. Mm. And also, if I could go back in time and do it differently, I would not homeschool if I could go back and make all the same decisions that I made then with what I know now. And I think that would have been better for everyone. But, it is what it is, and we made the best with what we could do.
Did the best with
and
what you
we
had.
did the best with what we had, and they're in school getting a much better education than I could provide for them at this point anyway, right now, and they're all, like, fucking smart as a whip, so I've no concerns about... Well, I mean, they've been in the actual school system for years now, so if there were any concerns, they would have crept up years ago.
Mm.
But anyway, so so we're going to get into this, but a little bit in the article, so I'll probably skip this since I'm giving an overview now. But Louisiana's thing is that if you homeschool, you have two options for getting your kid a diploma, saying that they graduated high school or whatever. Mm-hmm. You can either have them, like, you can register them with the government and say, I'm homeschooling my kids, and then you have to send in their test scores to prove that they have actually done the work and have gotten the education, and then they will get a state certified degree saying, yep, we saw the proof that this kid passed the test. Now that is kind of problematic because, like, you just send in like one set of test results, and it's kind of like the honor system that the parents didn't help the kid pass the test. But like, it's more than what we have in Canada, believe it or not.
Okay.
But the other option is you don't do any of that. You don't even tell the state that you're homeschooling. You just don't send your kids to school. And then but they like that by itself is technically illegal.
Okay.
However,
wouldn't that fall under like truancy?
Well, it's illegal under the truancy laws or whatever. But in 1980, some laws were passed that deregulated private schools, which basically made it so they took away the requirement that private schools have state certified teachers. They took away the requirement that they have to have a minimum number of students. So what homeschool parents are doing, if they don't want to go the proper government route, is to be like, oh, well, I'm a private school. I have 2 students. And then they then get the power to issue diplomas, but the diplomas are not like certified by the state. So like some colleges and universities will accept them, others won't. You'll have a harder time with that one than you will with.
And I'd imagine some of the colleges and universities that will accept them might also have their own problems with like transferring of accreditation and stuff.
Yeah. So to kind of like that's spoiler for the rest of the article, but what I want to get into here is like they have nearly 9,000 private schools in Louisiana which don't have state approval to grant degrees. Now, I looked it up. Do you know how many private schools there are in all of Canada?
How many?
1,700.
Okay.
Canada has a population of about 40 million people. Louisiana has a population of about 4 million people, but they have 8 times the private schools that we do.
Wait, so you have 1,700 private schools?
Yes.
And Louisiana has 8. Louisiana alone has
9,000. Because that's the parents trying to get out of having to actually test their children so that they can show that they learned something during homeschool, just sending in the paperwork to register and say, yeah, we're a private school now.
Okay. I mean, I guess it is a little better than it just being that many private schools that just, happen to be on their own land, because that was the logistical nightmare my brain was trying to work around. It was like, how do you have the land for all of that? How do you manage that many in that many cities? Because I think there's like 2. I want to say there were 2 private schools in Pensacola when I was there. Pensacola Christian Academy, and one more. So my brain's like, multiply that by cities. There's not enough cities in Louisiana for that.
No, but that's the thing. Like to register as a private school, you just have to like fill out the paperwork, sending in like you basically just have to answer like what is your address and how many students are enrolled.
And as you just go like,
they don't even need to know who the students are. They just need the number.
So you could just literally be like, I am a private school and I am fostering my neighbor's kid.
You don't even have to do that. I am a private school. I am educating my kids. So yeah, that's literally it. That like it's not actual schools. It's people that are trying to circumvent the homeschooling requirements. And I'm gonna take some flack if I don't do this, but I've had people in the chat that are referencing this. We have to say now, it's over 9,000. Except it's not. It's nearly 9,000. So
I mean, the original.
You guys are wrong.
Also, the over 9,000 was wrong. It was a dubbing error. It's over 8,000.
That's funny. Adam Broughton says, my friend told me his kids are in a homeschool collective because he doesn't want to vaccinate them or have public schools indoctrinate them. Yeah, that's a lot of the reason why people homeschool is to get out of... usually it's not vaccination requirements, but it is like that is a rising level of one. Got Sakura saying in the original Japanese it was over 8,000.
Yeah, it's...
Oh, there you go.
It's
maybe
weird.
It is right then.
It's weird that people get upset over the indoctrination thing when, if you really think about it, basically anything that you are giving a child when they don't have the ability to process information other than like regurgitating what's been given to them, it is a form of indoctrination. The problem isn't whether it's an indoctrination. The problem is whether you are teaching them something that is good and true.
Like, I mean, if you're against indoctrination, like you're pulling them out of the public school system where they will encounter many different people from many different walks of life, and so have the experience where they're exposed to more things than they would at home, even in somewhere that's as well. Louisiana is fairly diverse, but let's go to Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Say, where it's all like a bunch of white people. You're still going to meet people from different walks of life. There's going to be more diversity in a school than out of it. You're going to be exposed to more worldviews that way.
They're going to be indoctrinated in the homeschool environment.
So, yeah, so like to pull them out of an environment where it's not, they're not taught that the way that this kid thinks is better than the way that kid thinks. They're just going to be exposed to these other kids. To pull them out of that experience and say, no, this is how everything is, and you will not deviate from this whatsoever. Like, that's literally the pot calling the kettle black here with the whole indoctrination thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Progress only saying diverse does not equal integrated. That's a good point.
Yeah, so my question is, as someone who did student teaching in Louisiana, how the hell do these unapproved schools are going to help with the state's literacy issue? They're not.
They're not.
So when I was working at Walmart years and years and years ago, there was a cart pusher there who was 44 and did not know how to read in Crestview, Florida.
That actually reminds me, I looked this up as well. There's more private schools in Louisiana than there are Walmarts in the United States. Oh, that got cut off. There's 4,717 Walmarts in the United States. So there's almost twice as many private schools in Louisiana than there are Walmarts in the States.
I just having met people who were stonewalled into not being able to do much with their lives because they did not, like, their parents refused to get them an education when they were younger.
Yeah.
I can't fathom a parent willingly putting their child through this, going like, no, they don't need to read. They don't need to know that.
Yeah.
And it sounds ludicrous, but again, like, I've been on the same payroll as these people before.
So I actually came to this one from a Hemant Mehta article where he was talking about homeschooling. I chose not to cover that one because my next article is from Hemant Mehta as well. And I like to have multiple
You don't want to have
sources.
Everything from Hemant Mehta.
Yeah. I don't want to just copy his work and be like, yeah, no, I'm just reading Hemant's blog. But
you don't want to be Dave Rubin.
Yeah.
Where every video of his begins, I found this on the libs of TikTok account.
Yeah. So the article that Hemant was writing was following a different person that grew up in the homeschool. She was part of the Quiverful movement. And the thing that he was getting at was that she actually like wrote her own high school transcript. And it was just completely made up. Like, she never received a grade for anything, but it was just like, that was one of her school assignments one day, was to write her high school transcript so her dad could sign off on it and she could use it to apply for college.
So
it had stuff like, in my sophomore year, I studied hunting.
Okay.
And it had her as a volunteer youth counselor. That was one of the courses that she had. That's terrifying because it's a Quiverful movement. She had 15 siblings. So you know that when it's volunteer counselor, it was really the parent saying, hey, look after your younger siblings.
We're gonna go make more siblings real quick. Can you watch over them? Can you cook them their meals?
Yeah. So like, go look at Hemant's blog for that one. It's nuts. And like, she just completely made it up out of whole cloth. And like, she tells the story. If you go and read the original source for that one, she tells the story of how she actually maybe is. No, that's not the one. Okay. I was just making sure that wasn't actually the thing that I decided to cover, because it's different enough from this that maybe it was.
Mm-hmm.
But like, she did her grades. She's like, I want to have good grades, but I'm going to make it not all perfect because it's more realistic to not be all perfect. And then when she turned it into her father, he was like, why didn't you just give yourself a 4.0 GPA?
Because the father was there for the cheating from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what he was there for. He wanted it to be as easy as possible. I was gonna go and say, I wasn't quite Quiverful, because part of Quiverful is not just like, does your religious education care about it, but do your family members care about that? And I never got that particular, shindig with mine. But just logistically speaking, I don't see how you can give an even amount of love, care, and attention.
You can't.
To
it's
15
not possible.
Kids.
I have 5 kids now. I went from 3 to 5 through a relationship, and that's one of the biggest struggles that I have right now, is making sure that I'm still paying enough attention to my own kids when the other 2 are here. Now, thankfully, like it actually, like, I fucking hate their dad. Like, I've had one conversation with the guy, but like from what I've seen of how he treats my partner and how he treats his kids, even, I fucking hate the guy. He's a complete asshole. But if we had sole custody of her kids, that would be terrifying.
It would be a nightmare. Because
I mean, we'd manage, but like we would never have a silent moment in our house ever again. And that's with 5 kids. I can't imagine 15. Like, just the chaos.
There's a reason why with a lot of quiverfullers, their childhood experiences are raising their siblings. Like that is their childhood.
So have you seen all the seasons of Stranger Things?
Yes.
So the 4th season, when they go to Susie's house in Utah, and it's just a complete chaotic mess.
Oh yeah, because she was always on the talking with them online for like the longest time, and then they went there like, oh, this is
so this
is god awful.
That, like, I feel like that is an accurate portrayal of what a house with that many siblings would actually look like, because like just from my experience with 5, like, yeah, no, absolutely, like the dad locking himself away to work and not paying any attention and hoping that the older kids are taking care of the younger kids. I can totally relate to that, which is why I don't have 15 fucking children.
It's like with what was I gonna? There was a thought in my head and then it just disappeared violently. I don't know why it went. I was like,
thoughts do that.
They do, and I hate it, because this is the reason that I stopped doing live debate, because I know this happens with my brain, and I'm like, I don't want to be the guy that's like, I had a good point to counter you.
I know.
And then
I know we've had this conversation before, but like, go get your ADHD diagnosis, man. Like, you have it. That's a thing.
Well, as soon as I can afford to have a primary care position where I can do that.
Yeah, fair point. Anyway, back to the article. So many people switched to private school or told their state they were homeschooling. This is during the pandemic. Thousands of others could not be accounted for at all, according to analysis from the Associated Press and its partners. John Oliver recently did a piece on homeschooling that is, quite frankly, terrifying. Avalon of Babylon says, "Hey Rhino, who's that fleshy nerd with you? Where's the booba girl?" I assure you, there is still the same amount of booba on this call.
Yeah,
it's just not as visible.
I'm going to the gym, and I don't know if it's going to go away.
That wasn't just a dig at you.
I know.
We both got the boobas.
They're just covered in hair.
Mine are not. For a Scottish guy who probably had the Italian sneak into his bloodline back when they were on the British Isles, I'm surprisingly hairless underneath my shirt.
Huh. The more you know. Fan artists, get on that. Now you know. Now you know what to do.
I've got like 6 hairs that are just like there for some reason. It's weird. My body is weird. What can I say?
Like the one guy from Smiling Friends who just got the couple hairs that are just out of his head. Are those the only hairs you have on your head? No, they're actually exposed nerves.
Sure. Anyway, so the Louisiana's off the grid school system kids aren't missing, but there's no way to tell what kind of education they're getting or whether they're getting one at all. There's over 21,000 students that are enrolled in the state's unapproved schools, which is nearly double the number from before the pandemic. So this is an increasing problem. And to supporters of the system, avoiding state oversight is entirely the point, because they're all the Fremen on the land type of people, and like, government's got no business telling me how to educate my kids.
Government can't tell me how I'm supposed to raise my kids. I remember the point I was going to say before. So it's very, very strange to me, transphobic quiverfullers, because one of the arguments that a lot of transphobic fundamentalists will use is that you should not give any gender-affirming care to kids because they should have normal childhoods. They should be able to experience their childhood normally. And that is a wonderful criticism that would also mean that anybody else who has a medical problem at, the ripe old age of 9 or 10 should not go to the doctor. Ignoring that, These are the same people who will willingly basically have their children be surrogate parents for other children while also going, these kids should have full and fulfilling childhoods. And it's like, bro, your daughter was literally mother 2 at 12. What?
Yeah. And like, I'm not gonna lie, I use Lily for babysitting purposes all the time. There so many times it's like, okay, I just need like 5 minutes of peace to like get dinner in the oven. Can you please go play with the little ones? And it's actually kind of heartwarming because like the youngest one has really taken to her, and they're like best buds all the time.
I've just been informed that Henry Kissinger has just died. He was the advisor under Nixon.
I feel like that's a yay.
I feel like this is cause for celebration. Question
Yeah.
mark?
Yeah. I'm okay. He's one of those people where like I know the name and I have a negative association with him, and I feel like war criminal is an applicable term.
I don't know if that's. I don't know if I would use that term. I'm not
War
sure.
hawk?
Hawkish, yes. Hawkish, yes,
Okay.
I would go with.
Okay.
Not every hawk's a criminal, because not every hawk has the power to engage in criminal activities.
Yeah, but he did. He was Henry fucking Kissinger. But I also, at the same time, I don't really know what he did. But I know that it was bad. I know that it was bad. I just don't know what it was. And for the charity, we're at 5688.36. So
somebody was like, Henry Kissinger died? Looks like I need to donate.
Somebody needs to donate to celebrate Henry Kissinger's death, or in his memory if you liked him. If you liked him, probably don't watch the stream. You're probably not going to agree with my politics if you liked Henry Kissinger.
You have somebody who's just like, my hero is Ronald Reagan, and
yeah,
Ronald Reagan accessories.
You should go elsewhere. You should go elsewhere if Ronald Reagan is your hero.
I'll take them. I'll take them over on my channel. We'll argue about it. They'll change their mind eventually.
Sure. So Springfield Preparatory School bills itself as an umbrella school for Christian homeschoolers. So this is where like people can homeschool their kids and then send them to this place for like 1 or 2 classes, and then
these
pay
are the
them money
legitimate
at
classes
the end.
that they have.
No, they're not legitimate. They're just classes. And the principal, Kitty Sibley Morrison, is also willing to grant a diploma to anyone whose parents say they were homeschooled even years earlier. So, like, you go to her, you pay her money, say, like, yeah, I was homeschooled, but I don't have records of that.
And I don't remember anything I learned.
Sure, here's your diploma. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times to explain to them that they are free, Sibley Morrison says. Their parents are in charge of them, not the state. When she says free, she doesn't mean monetary. She means, like, free from
free as
state
in, like,
oversight.
freedoms. Jesus Christ.
Oh, God. Senshini says, Henry Kissinger was responsible for 9/11, the 9/11 of 1973. Those are different things, Senshini. Come on.
That was their 9/11. Just like January 6th is somebody's 9/11 now.
Okay. I don't condone making fun of people's physical appearances, but like this lady looks like leather got too dry.
I mean, that's just what happens when you're old and you don't take care of your skin, I guess.
I mean, like, I'm probably going to be fucking ugly when I'm older. I don't know. But like that, like I don't know. I saw that and my brain immediately went into roast mode. I'm like, I can't say any of that on stream. That was so mean. And it's physical appearance, which like a lot of times you don't really have control over your physical appearance.
Not really. I'm balding.
I am not. I have lush hair.
Ah.
This is my Italian ancestry.
This is where the Keeps advertisement comes in.
I wish. No, like this is so. Yeah, so according to my lineage, I am a purebred Scot. According to my skin complexion, the Romans got in there somewhere. Because like I don't really like I'll get a sunburn at the beginning of the summer, and then I spend the rest of the summer looking olive skinned, basically. So like that's not how Scottish people deal with the sun.
No, normally they deal with the sun with copious amounts of sunscreen and regret.
Yeah, so the combination of my darker than most Scottish people complexion and my lush head of hair leads me to believe that yeah, the Romans got into my bloodline somewhere. But like officially I'm as white can be. Anyway, Sibley Morrison,
a hands-off option for homeschooling. Why do you?
That's literally just any homeschooling in most states and in pretty much all of Canada.
Just hand the kid a book. Learn yourself.
So she says she's not selling diplomas, but rather lifetime services for homeschooling families. We're not here to make money, she said. Yet a list of prices is taped to the front window of the school building. $250 for a diploma service, $50 application fee, $35 for a diploma cover, and $130 to walk in a cap and gown ceremony. So that's the 400 and whatever that we saw earlier. Like if you get all the bells and whistles, it's 465 or whatever. I don't know. I can't do the math right now.
I have to wonder how the cap and gown ceremonies work for them, because usually with a cap and gown,
we have pictures. It's like it looks like they rented a room in a restaurant.
Jesus Christ, that's so sad. The whole point of a cap and gown ceremony is that you are celebrating that accomplishment with your peers. You're there with other people who went through the experience with you as well, for better or worse.
Yeah. And
there are some people that skip their cap and gown ceremonies for one reason or another, but I mean the point is you're there with other people. Doing it on your own, it's like the saddest kind of LARPing you can do.
They do it with other people. It's just other people that they don't necessarily know and definitely didn't go to school with.
Those pictures look real solitary.
I mean, there's like
I guess there's a few
there's like maybe 20 graduates.
I guess. Are those office chairs? No, those are the stacking chairs.
Yeah, my church had those chairs.
They're not super comfy.
I was the janitor at that church.
I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be sorry. I got paid to have sex in the church basement. That was when I was a good little Christian boy. We were married.
It was just kinky in the church basement.
Yeah, it was just like, it was one of those things where it's like, we're married. They hired me as the janitor. I'm like, hey, can I bring my wife to help out? And it's like, we're not going to hire her. So if you're going to do the job faster, we have to pay you less. So sure, why not? And then it was like, we're in the church. There's nobody else in the church. Let's have sex.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah,
we've learned a new kink for Rhino today.
Actually, it was no, she wouldn't want me to make this public, so I'm not going to say it. I was going to talk about her kinks, but like she's dead, and she was like, she had the Christian upbringing of shame.
Yeah,
where she didn't want to talk about anything like that publicly. So like there was a lot of like before we live streamed, there were a lot of conversations like, how far can I take this conversation? Like, how much can I discuss? And so no, I'm not going to discuss that.
Yeah, you don't go against the wishes just because they're not there to enforce them.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So they say there's precious little information about these schools to which the state calls non-public schools not seeking state approval. To start one, an adult must only report the school's name and address, their contact information, and how many students they have. So that's it. And apparently there are some schools with names like the Ballerina Jedi Academy.
Because they can just fill in whatever they want.
Yeah, but then you have to put that on the diploma. So imagine applying for college saying like, yeah, I went to the Ballerina Jedi Academy.
Like, I mean, at least with one of those, you can say it was a religion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a silver lining.
Yeah. Now, most of the schools are tiny single-family homeschools. However, last year, 30 of Louisiana's unapproved schools reported they had at least 50 children enrolled. So those will be like the homeschool co-ops or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The department warns parents on its website that it cannot confirm whether these organizations even meet the legal definition of a school. We didn't want to give parents or anyone a false sense that we knew anything about these schools should they exist, Hawkins said. I don't know who Hawkins is. I don't remember. They probably mentioned them earlier in the article. I was just kind of skimming.
Yeah.
That we could attest to their safety. Yeah. No, they can't attest to their safety, their actual education program, or anything about the schools.
They have to basically go like, these schools exist, and because of how they exist, we have to wipe our hands of everything where they're concerned, because otherwise we might be held accountable for little things like, you know, accreditation, which could get awkward.
Yeah. And Lord of Uzkalak says, well, people do put Jedi on the census as their religion. Yeah. They do.
They do. But when you're looking at a census, you're looking at, like, billions of people or millions of people as numbers, as opposed to, like, somebody doing a background check on you for a job going, hey, what's this?
Yeah, so there are no requirements to prove a child is getting an education. In fact, these schools don't even have to submit the names of the students who are attending. Basically everything I talked about earlier.
It's fully hands-off in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah. I kind of spoiled the whole story by summarizing it at the beginning.
That's fine.
So yeah, let's go on to the next story.
Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep the show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability a Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.